Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
On button. Look, I straight up, the first glass breaking that I did, I just found glass breaking and I put it on there, and now I just had to hell with it and straight up stole Stone Cold Steve Austin. Say that 5 times real fast. Intro music and said to hell with it. We're going to roll with it. Not to mention, we got to change the intro for this coming up next year. We are going to do the Queen City Chronicles for 2024. I talked to Vinny this past weekend at my terrible ass showing at the North Carolina State Championship, and we're going to roll in. So we're going to have some different intro music because Alex doesn't come for this because he has to get up early in the morning and do a real job when I record these. Today, all right, this is going to be a little weird if y'all listening now, because tonight we have the first and second place winners from the event 10, Yak and YOLO, and then we got the AOY winner, Landon. But y'all haven't heard the 8 or 9 yet because I got behind, and this is how the schedule worked out. We got to get them out. So we're going to be jumping ahead and jumping back a little bit. As I said, Adam Fillmore, Dave Hart, 1 and 2, Yak and YOLO, and then we got Landon, the AOI winner. It's going to be a good, fun time. And how y'all doing tonight? How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm good, man.
Licking my wounds from Norman myself.
Oh, how many fish did you catch?
Oh, I caught plenty of fish.
See, your wounds are not anywhere close to mine, so don't even start poor mouthing yourself.
Sorry.
Don't start poor mouthing yourself. I caught my first fish like 20 minutes in. On the top water on a point where I was like, man, they should be up on this point this morning. I can go out and, blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, shit, yeah. Nothing, not another bite the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's been fishing weird up there for sure.
Well, I also I wasn't going to go fishing 40 foot of water. I don't know how.
It's not that fun, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. How the hell do you do that when you don't have forward-facing sonar? Is it possible?
Absolutely.
Sure it is, yeah.
Dynamite. Brady.
Look, if you try to go out and fish 40 foot deep in Sharon Harris or at Jordan Lake, like 99% of people that ride by you are like, what? They're going to stop in that. Are you okay? Do you need help? Yeah. Do you need us to pull you back to shore?
That's funny.
Yeah, but it was 8 foot visibility down there at Betty's Ford where I was. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But we ain't here to talk about that damn tournament. I want to forget about it. It never happened. I was never there. All right, first we're going to start off with Adam. Introduce yourself real quick. Tell us who you are, where you came from, and who's your daddy.
Well, I guess my daddy this week would have been Bennett on Norman. But my name's Adam Fillmore. I've been fishing Queen City for a couple years now. Been around since the beginning. Got to see Vinny kind of take off. I think the shop I own, tackle shop I owned, we were one of the first ones to really get behind Vinny and help promote the kayak fishing in the Southeast. So it's been pretty cool to see it go from what it started at to where it is now. So yeah, I just been fishing in the Carolinas. I moved down here about 18 years ago and been fishing all these Catawba chain lakes for the last 18 years, boat tournaments and kayaks here and there. Done pretty good in a few of them, but definitely enjoyed really focusing on the kayak fishing the last couple of years. It's been a really nice change of pace for sure.
You go a lot slower and you get a lot tired.
It's ironically, I actually feel worse after fishing in a boat tournament. I don't know what it is, if it's the standing up all day, bouncing in the seat, but I'm gonna be honest with you, like I can squat a lot more now that I'm in a kayak pedaling all day, and my back doesn't hurt as bad. So
hey, I say the same damn thing, man. I mean, I can sit in that kayak in a beating ass sun, pedaling myself everywhere, and then go spend 4 or 5 hours in a bass boat standing up, and it's the same thing. Or I could go play a round of golf where you're riding around in a golf cart, you're in the shade, you just one swing here so often and be wore out, but go kayak fishing, man. It's just I guess it's all the movement just keeps that blood flowing and keeps the lactic acid from leaking all down to your legs and back.
It's definitely different for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Had a good run this year and look forward to next year. So
Dave, you don't have to introduce yourself. You've been on here quite enough. And I will preface Dave by this is the guy who fired me from Tar Heel Lunkers.
my side of the story was mutual, but hey, whatever.
I've told everybody I got fired.
That's fine. I like it. I'm good. I'm good with it. I'll get
Dave,
you a T-shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Get me somebody's old Tar Heel Lunker shirt that says that's with a stamp on the back that has fired.
Yeah, I'll spray paint it red paint. Yeah.
Yeah, fired. Yeah. All right, Dave, tell us about yourself real quick, even though most of the folks are gonna know you.
Well, I guess I'll pitch it on the Queen City. I don't think a lot of the Queen City guys know who I am. I fish a lot of CCKF and CKA stuff since where I'm at is in Burlington. But I have fished 5 Queen City events now. My first one was Lake James in early 2021, which was miserable up until after lines out, which was amazing when I was catching largemouth on top water in 44-degree water in January or February. But after lines out, so we can't count that one. So I've done atrocious in Queen City events, mainly because I just don't fish a lot. I think I've done Lake James, I've done Norman twice, and I did the Yak and YOLO 1 and 2 this year. So
those damn clear water lakes.
It's not that doesn't so much bother me, man. Like I fished other places clear. I don't know. It's just Norman's so big if you don't have the time to invest to break it down. And I think time of year got me with just like this year where the water's down 4 or 5 foot, I'm sure. But it is what it is. I'll get around to them.
There you go.
But yeah, I've been.
Are you done? No,
I'm done. That's it.
Are you sure? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Landon, who are you? You've been on here. This is your 3rd time for the Chronicles, isn't it?
This is my 3rd Chronicles. It's been an amazing year. Landon, luckily enough, blessed to be the Angler of the Year for Queen City this year. Was awesome. I'm kind of the newcomer a little bit, at least to a group in this sense. I moved to Charlotte March of 20, right before everything closed. I didn't fish my first event with Queen City until Santee Cooper, March of 21. I hadn't been in a boat or a kayak fishing a lake probably in 10 years leading up to that. I lived in Atlanta, literally downtown Atlanta. I went to school in Atlanta. I was a college soccer player. So, there's no lakes in Atlanta to speak of. So, yeah, that's me. I just love fishing. I'm addicted to the grind. Honestly, I love the boats, the map study. I love the trying to figure out the bite. I love the grind of it. As much as a lot of people probably hate it, I love it.
And if for the people that are listening, you need to go watch the first about 8 minutes of this. It looks like Landon is in an ASMR video because he keeps going blue and red and white and back. Yeah.
I got a TV on. I can turn the TV off for those watching, or it'll make it even more exciting.
No, we don't care about none of that noise. You can't hear the background, so you can have whatever lights flashing you want. All right,
television.
Dave, we're gonna start off with you with Event 10, the Yak and YOLO. That's too many Y's up in that. Because
I don't even know what YOLO means. Somebody needs to tell me what that word means. I haven't even looked it up. But
you only live life one time at a time.
I think that's like YOLO at YOLO. I don't know what it is. What it
is. Southerners aren't good with acronyms.
I'll take
Dave.
it.
Yeah, Dave. All right, we're gonna start with you on this one. You wrote a really long Facebook post because it was your redemption tournament. So take us through the backstory into what happened at this event, this event would have been 3 weeks ago now, right?
I think that's right. Yeah, time flies. 21st. Yeah, something like that. That sounds right. I've had a lot. I've been sick. I couldn't walk. I've had an anniversary. I've had a kids soccer championship and all kinds of things. So, anyways, yeah, it was 3 weeks ago. I think you're right. The redemption. So, for those that know, last year the state BS qualifier, since we're switching between Norman and Yak and Chain. I fished Yak and Chain last year. I think I hadn't had a ton of experience on that chain. I think I fished baiting a couple times before, Tillery a couple times. But that event, I kind of went in blind and actually caught 2 studs first thing in the morning. Caught 2 dinks and had 5 hours to catch a 12-inch minimum. And had I done that, I would have finished like 5th place, I think, and made the classic and all that. That's on the heels of actually missing the classic stage in Texas by 1 fish. So there's a lot of ties to the Bassmaster events that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I keep fighting at them. So anyways, I came up 1 fish short last year, about the same time. I think we did that event in September maybe, so it's about the same time. So, I knew Queen City always did the YOLO events typically, and schedule came out, definitely had it circled. And then, I was definitely going to fish it. And then when it came to it, I wasn't sure I was actually going to be able to fish it. My in-laws had scheduled family vacation same weekend. And then the weekend before, my other side of the family had a beach vacation and I overdid it. My foot was shredded. I couldn't walk. So that was on a Wednesday. I went to urgent care and got some steroids, which were amazing. And I didn't know if I was going to fish it, but I packed the truck on Thursday to head to the mountains with a kayak. So I really didn't make the decision until Friday evening that I could actually do it. So
what? All right.
Yeah, drove down.
Yeah. Hold on now. You overdid it so bad you had to go to urgent care for your ankle. Either your ankle was really hurt, or you really, really, really dove into it being hurt, so you didn't have to go to the in-law vacation and go fishing. So tell us how you actually hurt your ankle, because that's a pretty significant ankle.
That's a much better story. I wish I could say, and I did have to smooth over the in-laws, so I cooked them a nice carne asada taco dinner Friday night they didn't even know I was going until like Friday at 9 o'clock at night that I was going to leave them all day. I was like, I'm not even going to tell them. My wife knew, so I was good there. But no, it's just getting old. I wish it was a better story, but yeah, like July, August, getting up in the mornings, plantar fasciitis kind of crept in. 10, 15 minutes later, it's good every day. But yeah, we're at the beach. I'd actually fished inshore in the kayak all morning, and then hit the surf in the afternoon, was on my feet all day. And somehow, like, the plantar fasciitis on the bottom of your foot can also wreak havoc on your tendons around your ankle. And I can't explain it because it was delayed reaction. Saturday was the bad day where my feet were sore. I was good until I woke up Tuesday morning, and it felt like I'd severely rolled my ankle. Like all the tendons around the inside of my ankle were just shredded. So that's the story. So for me, it's just better shoes, stretching, ice. So far, so good.
Next time that happens, I have a wife who has a mobile physical therapy business right here in Holly Springs. I mean, she can help take care of.
It's right down the road, an hour and 15 minutes away.
Hey man, she can do some teletherapy. Anybody listening in North Carolina, any of your fishing injuries, I have a wife that has helped me through some of mine. It's obvious she cannot help you catch more fish, but she can at least make you pain-free on the water.
Good to know. Good to know.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, so you decided to roll out at 9 o'clock Friday night. What lake did you head to?
No, I didn't. The in-laws didn't know till 9 o'clock at night that I was getting up at 3:15 in the morning. I rolled out at 3:15 out of above West Jefferson. About a little over 2.5 hours down. So, I went to one of the Yadkin lakes. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
One of the 4.
There's 4.
Hey, the YOLO's gonna be. It's on the schedule again next year, so we gotta leave it at that, man.
Well, if you don't tell us the lake, you can tell us what you caught them on then.
It was junk fishing, honestly. I will say, I I'm going into it on the limited history I had there. I knew that bites would be few and far between, but I'd been there. I've been there probably 4 times prior, and I think I've caught 8 or 9 over 20, and not many other fish. I mean, it's few and far bites, but the ones you get are big. And so, I knew it was a high risk, high reward situation. The early bite was not that great for me. I got a dink that actually ended up needing a little 13 and a half. And then I caught big fish in the tournament. So I think I squeaked out one of Adam's fish, which was a stupidly disproportional fish if you go back and look at his big fish. That fish is funky looking, but yeah, I caught it.
Oh, real quick,
Okay.
that puts you catching. You talked about this in a post too. You won big fish in all 3 of the North Carolina tournament trails you fished this year.
Okay.
You won big fish in all 3 of them at 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never won big fish before. It's crazy. I got big fish, CCKF Sharon Harris, a CK event, and then Hyco Lake, which doesn't even really have that big a fish. I got a 22 there, which is crazy. And then the one here. So yeah, it's
nice.
Pretty blessed to have that happen. I've never won big fish and to have it happen. I almost had it happen 5 times because Gate City Classic with CK, I almost got it until Will Lambert caught a freak. But yeah, no, the big fish I caught about 8:30 in the morning, I think. Yeah, I'll tell you what I caught, and I probably have it right here somewhere.
Probably a crankbait.
No, it actually wasn't.
Whoa.
Mini Max.
Okay. Nice.
Mini Max with Hog Farmer, Spunk Shad. That's, yeah, hopping on the bottom. So I caught that one at 8:30. The first little dink was on a jerk bait. I threw the jerk bait quite a bit, didn't get anything. I had success in the past on jerk bait. And then, yeah, the rest of the fish after that were on crankbait. The
Crankbait Dave, that's for sure. Were you finding these on your graphs and stuff, or were you just fishing structure, docks, wood, anything like that?
It's kind of a finicky little pattern. It's a structure, but a timing oriented thing. And I knew that. So even though it was a slow morning, like I knew just be patient. I had a plan B in my pocket to actually trailer and go somewhere else, and I got real close to doing it. I told myself between 130 145 I had to make a move if I needed some fish.
Late.
And I only had, I guess I had 3 at that point. And then I caught a fourth one that was pretty decent at 135 or something like that. So I stayed put, and I knew, I mean, deep down, like I knew I had a good bag. I think I had a 21, I think I had a 19 3/4, a 17 and a half, and then I had the 13 and a half. And I knew deep down that 13 and a half was going to come back to haunt me, and it did. And looking back, it was pretty wild because being that it was a timing thing, I went back and looked at some footage. 10 casts before I caught the 19 3/4, I hooked one that felt bigger than the 21 and had it on for like, I don't know, 6-7 seconds. And I knew right then and there that was the fish that's going to cost me, and it did. So
did you cuss or throw anything?
No, man. It's funny too. Like looking back, like all of the big fish, except maybe Heiko because it was so unexpected. Like it's like I'm just boring watching catching big fish or losing big fish. I don't have the Paul Roberts reaction.
Yeah, I'm boring as hell catching fish, but you let me lose something, and shit's getting hit. I'm cussing, I'm hollering, I'm screaming. I'm not, I hate losing fish.
It sucks, man.
I don't catch enough. I don't catch enough to be losing the bastards.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. Over time, and I haven't done this a ton, like I started tournament fishing in 2020. But as many tournaments as I do throughout the year, like you just learn, like, I don't know, it's just a feeling now, like, I don't know. I just sulk and big sigh, and, I try to get the cast right back in, and, I've learned to not try to dwell on it because I've cried like a baby. I'll be the first to admit it in Texas at the Bassmaster event. I lost a fish.
Well, that's why
like a baby.
That's why I act like the fool. I get it out those 10, 15 seconds all the way up to a couple minutes, and then get back to fishing and forget about it. No, hell no. I'm too poor to be breaking shit now. That ain't happening. I'll do a lot of things, but I ain't breaking that. I might pick up a worm or something out of the boat and throw it as hard as I can, but I ain't breaking none of my shit because it is not replaceable right now. And you finished with what, 71 and 3/4, 71.75, I think.
I don't even remember. To be honest with you.
All I know is that while you look it up, 2 through 5 were all
Tight.
within a half inch. So Dave had something in 3/4. T Vang behind him, or two Vang behind him had was a 1/4 inch behind him, and then the next 3 were all at a 1/4 inch, whatever they caught in a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
That was a really tight 2 through 5. So that
It was
13
crazy.
incher, I know it. You say it bit you in the butt, but it really put you in second place.
Oh, for sure, man. I needed it. I mean, I had I probably had another. I probably caught 15 fish throughout the day, but a lot of dinks. Like I knew what a lot of between 12 and 13, ton of them. But yeah, what you said, 5th place Yi Hang, 4th place Nick Huddleston both had 71.25. Tang Vu had 71.5, and I had the 71.75. And then
That's a tight field right there. You don't see that quite there. And 2 of them were
No.
tied. So I guess does Vinny do big fish as the tiebreaker, or does he do submission, or is it first big fish and then some big fish? Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. That was a tight. That was
Which
a
is
tight
even crazier.
top 5.
He told me too. It was I think it was Caleb Crawford, if I'm not mistaken. He also had a 21, but had a 19.5 second fish. So essentially, I won big fish by a 1/4 inch as well. So it was tight on the big fish race as well.
Hey man, that's your redemption story, and you came out second place, and you can't beat that. And that's a damn nice ass purse for Queen City too. That's not some chump change.
It was a blessing too, because I guess was it last Tuesday? Yeah, last Tuesday I'm in Raleigh, and my truck went kaput. So half of that tournament money went to a new throttle body and a tow bill from Raleigh to Burlington. So. But no, I gotta say, man, shout out. I always enjoy the Queen City weigh-ins. I don't do a ton of them, but Rock Outdoors, I've been there a couple times, and it's a great thing. I was hoping be a little bit bigger crowd, but it's a great time. I really appreciated Landon. Your AOY speech was top notch, and I'll just say there's something that if a lot of guys are listening, something that rung true with me, Landon, was you said like some of the effect of like don't try to do things that to make it fit what you think the lake is going to do. Just know that you're good at some things and you're probably better than others at it. And it sounds cocky, but you absolutely have to have that mentality in fishing. I've learned that, because guys can fish how they fish and they're successful at it. You got to fish how you know that you're confident fishing. So Landon, kudos for that. And Adam, congrats, man. That was a hell of a day, heck of a bag. But it was a blast.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's a great mindset to have. Every tournament I enter in and I go fish, I mean, I want to win it. I'm going to win it. I don't want second. I don't want anything else. I don't want point. I just want to win it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least that's the mindset I'm going in there with, is I'm going to win this motherfucker. I ain't farting around not to win. So, but you got to have that mentality if you want to get up there, push yourself, and get better. Adam Fillmore, the champion. Tell us about your day.
Honestly, I think I decided what lake I was going to at about 2:30 in the morning of the tournament after about 45 minutes of sleep. I had 2 or 3 people ask me where I was going, and I told them I had no idea. So after I weighed in my fish, they were like, "You knew where you were going." I was like, "I honestly had no clue." I had a similar story to Dave in that NC bass last year. I was 1 fish short, and just exact same thing, just 1 fish. And I debated on going there where I was last year or to another spot, and looked like I had chose the right spot, thankfully. It's actually a place I hadn't fished in a while, but I knew the fish like to get there this time of year, and was hoping it'd be a quiet ramp. And it was a pretty magic day. I had everything by like 9:30 in the morning, and everybody was busting my chops about sandbagging, but I will never do that. I had just I have no service on the Yadkin chain.
Hold on. I'm gonna interrupt you there real quick. Something I started doing this year, and it wasn't sandbagging, but when you fish, like Sharon Harris is a good example. If you get on a school of fish in Sharon Harris, those fish they go and it's quick. And you think about in a bass boat, when you catch a fish, you take it off the hook, you throw it in the damn live well, and you're back out there in 30 seconds.
For sure.
We gotta put it in the net, get your stupid board out, wet your board, make sure your identifier's there, make sure the sun isn't going to mess up your picture, put the fish on there, it flops around into the boat, and it's all everywhere. You got water on your hands, you're trying to take a picture, and all this shit's going on, and it's a minute to 2 minutes that you're wasting. So when I get into those schools this year, I started, or if I was doing something I felt like it was a timing thing, I'd take the damn picture, and then when it cooled down or I moved, then I would submit the fish.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a difference sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that might be, you think about it, in 30-minute time period, that might be, I don't know, 50 extra cast, 60 extra cast.
You can cast
that you're not farting around trying to submit it then too, because that's another 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know back when Queen City kind of first started, we had fished a tournament on Wiley. I actually won, and back then we could use clips, so it was catching them hot and heavy in the morning, and you'd put one on a clip, take a picture of one, and then you would just, that was nice. But I'm good with them not doing that now too. I mean, I don't miss that rule, but it was kind of nice. But yeah, it was crazy. John Ladd, he had an incident at Hartwell a couple years ago, or maybe last year, where he lost his phone and hadn't uploaded anything. And I'm like, we'll never let that happen to me on purpose. So, yeah, I didn't have any service. And then I was actually nervous about getting to somewhere in time to get service. And it was,
you said you were done at 9:30. You
I know, but
the rest of the day to go find service.
I was really shooting for 80, which sounds crazy, but I know on the Yadkin chain that, I mean, he was, Dave was a 21 or 22 away from that 80 mark, and those live there. I mean, the only big fish I've ever won in the Queen City was on a Yadkin Lake a couple years ago, and maybe last spring. But so you just never know if 75 inches at any other lake, and you might put it on the track. I actually told myself we have season tickets to the Charlotte FC, and Messi was in town that night.
Oh yeah. But he didn't play, right? Wasn't his ankle hurt?
No, he played the whole game. Okay. I was really hoping he was going to start the second half, because by the time I left the ramp, got to Charlotte, I had to take my kayak with me and find parking uptown Charlotte with a kayak trailer, because I live in Lake Wiley, so there's no way I'm going across town and back. Dude, it was a nightmare. I found the perfect little parking spot, though. Shout out to Little Hardware over off of what road is that off of? Mint Street, actually, I think, right there in front of the stadium. They have a nice little fenced-in area. The dude talked to me about fishing for 5 minutes, and everything was safe. That was really nice. But I got lucky. I walked in when they were singing the national anthem, so I didn't miss a minute of the game either. So it was perfect. But I told myself I would leave early if I got 78, 80, and then you're out there and you're like, there's no way I'm leaving early. This is not going to happen. But yeah, I struggled after 9:30. I kind of panicked a little bit as far as like, I really hope this holds up, because I'm not getting any more bites. I had one spot that was, them fish just were there, and it worked. So, but yeah, it was a great time. I really enjoy. I hadn't fished the Yadkin Lakes a whole lot until probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and they are finicky lakes. I mean, the perfect example. I mean, most people would kill to have a day like that, but I'd almost rather catch a little bit throughout the day to kind of, cool your nerves a little bit. But it's got them, man. That chain is the bomb, and that it can be won on any of those lakes. I mean, all those lakes, are they all have really big fish in them.
What is it? Tillery, Baden, High Point,
High Rock.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Tuckertown.
Yep. But yeah, them lakes are something else. And I like fishing that time of year. It's gonna be interesting. I think we go early in the year next year. That'll be interesting, because those lakes fish really good in the winter months, and it'll be late winter, early spring. So
So since
Yeah.
you're going to be fishing at a different time next year, what were you doing to catch those fish?
Nobody believes me because I've told 50 people this, but I caught all my fish on a true shell shaky head. I caught all my fish but one. I did catch one on a chatterbait. But I think I caught 5 keepers. I think I had maybe 6. I might have had a 16 and a smaller 16 up to 2 in the 16 range too that I didn't have to use, but all my bites came within about a 2-hour window, hour and a half window there. And it was bananas. It was one of those things where it was just like, I can't believe this is happening.
This shit is bananas.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Were you singing Gwen
I
Stefani?
I was actually singing that like out loud. I get excited because you're talking about screaming when you lose fish. I do the same thing for sure. I've broke many rods, even though it's, I can't afford to buy new ones either. But it's things get broken, and it's not because I want to. It's just because they're there. But I definitely sing. I was talking to myself a lot at Norman this week. I actually had to stop and think. I'm like, I gotta chill, dude. This is I was trying really hard for that NC bass, really hard. I'm always a few inches short every year, and it's like story of my life. But it's yeah, it was a great day. It was I had a good time. It's the weather was nice. We've had obviously a pretty unseasonably warm fall for the most part. We had a couple cool spells, but
except for last week.
Yeah, except for last week, right? But yeah, it was a good time. I don't but just throwing a shaky head. I people sleep on that bait a lot. I mean, it's something that back when I used to, I still fish boat tournaments, but when I fish boat tournaments a lot, when I owned the tackle store, that was like the safety net bait, right? It was I guess the Ned rig of the time. But in reality, there's probably more big fish caught on that bait than many other baits. And I mean, if I had to guess my weight from that tournament in my best 5, I mean, I was all over 20 pounds. I mean, easily. Like that one big fish I had, that fish was pushing. It was the fattest fish I've ever caught in the fall. It looked like it was about to explode. Bro, it was giant. It tripped me out when I got in the net. I'm like, oh my God, this is an 8-pounder. But in reality, it was 6. It was over 6 for sure. It was big. But that she had a good bait. Yeah.
That's a football. That looks like a New York, or that looks like a New York smallmouth.
It does. It looked like a football. I mean, it was literally football shaped. It was pretty crazy.
Side note, speaking of smallmouth, did y'all see 2 people caught
smallmouth
at fucking Santee?
That's wild. Weekend? I've never heard any, and then 2 people in the same tournament catch them. That's crazy.
That's wild.
It is wild. That's wild.
Hopefully they're real smallmouth and not some smallmouth / Alabama bass mix that's in there.
No, they look pretty purebred. I talked to a couple of guys that said that they catch them way up in the river there, but which is weird. I mean, I don't know where they really come from, to be honest with you, because to my knowledge of South Carolina, the Broad River is really the only river that has them, and I don't think it makes its way over to that side of town. But
that's the great thing about fishing. Crazy. There's a lot more damn shit in that water than
I know, right?
We might know about.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Some of those big lakes. Hey, did anything stupid, weird, wild, crazy, wacky happen to you while you were fishing that tournament? Did you fall out your boat?
No, I've been
poop your pants. Nothing like that.
No, I haven't done that yet either. It's on the list though. It'll happen for sure. Not really, man. It was pretty quiet. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I literally kind of flipped a coin that morning, and when I got up and was like, all right, this is where I'm going. Last year for the YOLO, I actually was driving to one place and decided to go to a whole different lake, and that's when I won big fish that time. And it was like that's always nice when you can do that for sure. It makes it just confidence thing, that's what it's all about. I kind of, doubling back on what they, Landon's speech. I hate that I didn't make it to Rock Outdoors, and Vinny always busts my chops about not going, but I mean, I was going to see Messi, dog. Sorry. Like that was
so this is crazy. First place caught all his fish in the first 2.5 hours. And then Dave in second place caught the majority of his fish that mattered like in the last few hours.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy how the time frame switches up and the choices you make and how that happens. You know, what the hell did you do the rest of the tournament?
Freaked out. Was freaking out the whole time trying to catch more fish. Sitting there thinking this should be enough to win, but Kinley, what was it? Kinley that had 80-some inches in the spring, and then I told myself no less than 80,000 times in those final 6 hours that it's the fall. Nobody's going to catch 80 inches. It's the fall. Nobody's going to catch 80 inches. But in reality, I knew that it was a very, very good possibility somebody was going to end up with 80. But yeah, it was super blessed to hang on. I was happy. I was very happy. For sure.
Running forward facing. Or just
I do, but honestly, in that tournament, I don't think it helped me. No, I was catching them in pretty shallow water. I mean, it was like 6 to 8 foot. I mean, I didn't see any of those fish. To be honest, I did use it at Norman the other day, pretty good. Caught a lot of fish with that, and it's one of those. I had a conversation actually with somebody yesterday about that, and it's like, that thing is great, and I've had it I got it. I actually had it shipped to me before I went to the Hobie TOC at Eufaula 2 years ago and put it on in the garage down there. I used a broom handle from Walmart and was out chopping on that. I bought a little hacksaw and everything and literally rigged it up at that. And one big fish with that, I caught a 6+ on Eufaula. So it worked out. I paid for the broom handle and the saw with that check.
Look, that's one of them North Carolina boys. He's got a broom handle for his line.
Literally it's not, have a $2,500 fish finder with a $4 broom handle for
some
your
duct tape.
Transducer. Yeah. No, but it isn't magic though. I mean, that thing, it doesn't play in every tournament for sure. I don't think. I know it doesn't. I mean, it didn't play in that tournament for me. With that said, on Lake James earlier this year in the West Division, it's how I caught every one of my fish. So it's nice to have, but it's really not necessarily. Kind of like, what they were saying, Landon said about fish your strengths. I mean, in reality, my strength is generally shallow anyway. So sometimes I think it hurts me more than it helps me. It definitely didn't help me in that tournament. And that's, but then again, like I said, the other win this year, I did use it. So I'm just confused. I'm a confused man.
It's not magic. It's fucking
not.
Sorcery.
Still got to catch them.
It is sorcery.
It is.
That is sorcery. It is magical. It's magical to use it, but it ain't going to magically make the fish come into your boat.
I tell you what's magical about it is it puts you in this time warp where your day seems like it's about 8.5 minutes long because you're staring at that screen. I literally felt I lost track. I lose track of time so much in those events where I'm looking at it all day. It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of time you spend and how fast it goes by without you realizing it, just looking at it. But I mean, it's nice.
They're fucking around with a catfish for 2 hours.
Multiple catfish. The wildest thing, speaking of that, Norman earlier this year, I found this school fish. I'm like, I'm going to win this tournament. And I proceeded to catch 11 catfish on live scope that day on drop shot. And I have never in my life caught 11 catfish on drop shot total. It was the most frustrating day because every other one I'm like, oh, there's no more catfish down there. This has got to be a big old spot. No, big old catfish.
And then when you catch them on a drop shot, you have to retie every time because they fuck it all up.
They're gooey and they're disgusting. I did catch one at Norman the other day, but it was it can be a hindrance sometimes as well for sure. But no, in that tournament, I didn't really. I had it on, but I can honestly say it didn't help me much. It was I kind of was fishing just this certain area that I knew the fish like to hang out, and they were hanging out that day, fortunately. So, but no, nothing crazy happened. Just trying to find a parking spot in Charlotte. That was a disaster. Golly, that was probably the most intense hour and a half of my life, to be honest with you. It was crazy.
Because you knew when you got back after that game, your shit was going to be gone.
That was in the back of my mind, right? Well, the other thing is Charlotte was not only was Messi playing, they were playing for a playoff spot. They had to win, and two other teams that were playing at the same time had to either lose or tie. So there was just a lot. That was a very emotional day. Like there was a lot of things just popping off. But I hate I didn't make it to the weigh-in because I haven't made it up to Rock Outdoors yet. I've heard it's a beautiful store, and I know they've been doing a lot for the trail. So obviously we all really appreciate that for sure. And
I had to stop by there going to Norman. I made a detour and went by there. I had to get some True South buzz baits that I didn't even tie on.
Those are good to have. You didn't tie any out?
No, well, I caught the one fish off of a spook.
Really, I threw a spook
Yeah.
a little bit at Norman. Didn't
You
get bit on
smacked
it.
it.
I
You
did catch
smacked
him
it.
on a buzzbait though. Should have tied the buzzbait on, baby.
Well, I probably should have done a lot of things differently, but we're not here to talk about that clusterfuck. Dave, did anything wacky, wild, crazy happen to you? I mean, you didn't fall going up the ramp, dragging your plantar fasciitis infested foot behind you or nothing.
No, I was still steroided up, so I was good on that event. No, the crazy thing that did happen. So at one point in the morning, so this was between like the big fish I caught and like I had like a 3 hour lull too, where like I wasn't catching anything. So I just started, exploring water, hitting the bank, and I look over and there's a blue heron that unfortunately had somebody's line all wrapped up in his foot. So he was still hanging on. So actually, I went over and did battle with a pterodactyl and freed him, and actually got the bobber that was connected to it. It's typical. Like, I mean, I think it was like 80-pound braid with a 70-pound mono leader with 2 tiny split shots, 2 little crappy gold shiner hooks, and a bobber. Go figure. And so anyway, I got the bobber as a little memento. It's hanging off my second place plaque.
Nice.
So,
Did you get a video of that battle?
Cool. I did. It was. I mean, I can embellish it all I want. It could have been bad. It wasn't. He kind of he figured out that I was there to help him after the first 10, 15 seconds. I'll post
you gotta
it sometime.
post that. You gotta post
I will.
that. That's
I will.
amazing footage.
It
Damn,
is. It's one of those things too. It's like okay, now God, please send me big fish because I've done my due diligence for Mother Nature, and please help me find some fish. So they finally came. But no, that was it. That was the highlight of the day. Other than the big fish, obviously, because like Adam said, I mean, there's back at his point, I had 78 in my mind. That was and I'm used to the 5 fish format, so 478, it's crazy. But I think if you look back at it's the fall, but if you look at the Bassmaster totals last year, I don't think they were that. I mean, they were definitely in the mid 70s, I think. But I think all three of the 4 lakes, I think, guys placed and did well. So yeah, up and down that lake is awesome. That whole chain is awesome. So. But no, I mean that was the heron, was definitely the highlight of the day.
When you see that video this week, sometime you got to post that. That's pretty cool to be able to see that. I mean, that's a big old bird.
Cool.
It's a big old bird.
Yeah.
You don't know how big it is until you roll up to it inches away from it.
Do you know the wildest part about them is when you pick them up and they weigh like a pound. They look like they're big. They don't weigh nothing. They had like shit all over everything. I caught one with a speed trap once. There was more weight and shit in that thing than there was in the actual bird.
The actual bird. I believe it.
All right. Well, now we're going to get to the Angler of the Year for Queen City 2023, Landon Smith. As we said before, this is his 3rd show. But if we just took like the top 2 anglers out of every tournament we did, he would have been on here almost damn near every tournament recap. Every chronicle we did, Landon would have been on here. We had to, we had to kick his ass out of here for a bunch of them. But he's back now. He had a hell of a good year. Landon, kind of give us a recap of the year and how it went for you from beginning to end. When did you realize that you had a shot to make the AOY? Because everybody's got a shot the first 2 tournaments, right? But after that, when did you realize, like, I'm going to button this shit up?
Yeah, sort of like I said in my speech, this season, I owe a lot of this season to a lot of people. Like I've said before, I think I said the first time I was on here, I would never have found Queen City without Josh Myers, Abide Fishing's YouTube. Honestly,
Let me interrupt you real quick. I texted Josh to see if he was going to fish this weekend because I wanted to give him a big old hug because I've never met him in person. And I didn't even say anything about you being on the podcast. He said, when you do Landon's AOY podcast, make sure you tell everybody that the reason he won was because of me. And that was in his quote was, that's from Landon, not me. End quote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was randomly, when I moved up here, obviously COVID stuff was closed. My job hadn't started yet because we couldn't open a gym. And I had nothing to do. I was bored. I was going through all this shit of, fuck, I moved my entire family up here. I made my wife quit her job for this, dream job I was going to come into. And now it might not even fucking happen. Like, that sucks. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to start fishing. That's going to help because I can't just sit around in my house and just think about how much I've ruined my wife and I's future. So I went back to Atlanta, got all my old fishing rods and brought them up. And I was fishing actually on the shore, actually at Ramsey Creek. I think it was December or something like that. And saw this guy going around in this sweet ass fishing kayak. And I was like, that's really cool. So I wanted to wait for whoever it was to come closer. They just didn't. So I was like, whatever. So I went home and I Googled Charlotte kayak fishing and Abide Fishing's YouTube video from the first Wiley tournament, one of the years where it was like freezing freaking cold. Adam, you probably remember, raining or something like that. It looked miserable, but I was like, there's a kayak fishing club up here. Like, this looks awesome. So
The kayak fishing club.
The kayak fishing, and obviously now, yes, the only kayak fishing club that matters. But so that's when I was like, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna, save my sanity. Sorry, my dog's trying to get up here. And so I sold pretty much everything that I didn't need. I started doing some odd jobs on the side because I was on unemployment at that point to save as much money as I could to justify to my wife that the unemployed guy needs to buy a kayak for fishing.
Hey, honey, I just made $1,500 on foot pictures. I've got enough money to get a kayak now.
If OnlyFans was a thing, then
it was.
Who knows? Who knows what I would have done? I'd have been in a Hobie right off the bat if OnlyFans was a thing.
Damn, your feet that pretty.
But no, so yeah, and then like I said, I got on Santee, which was like, what a stupid idea that was to start kayak fishing, lake fishing on a Santee freaking Cooper. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Slowly throughout the year, honestly, the best thing outside of Josh's YouTube channel and the TOC weigh-in last year at Clark's Hill was meeting Mark Glendy, which I'm sure you guys have. Mm-hmm. I somehow lucked into getting the campsite next to him at the Lake Hartwell State Park for the Hartwell tournament that first year, and got to listen to him tell his friends Amanda and Shelly all of these things about fishing and fishing tournaments and rod actions and lines and stuff like that. I was like, all right, sounds good. And I just kind of put all that stuff into play. And then last year at the TOC weigh-in Clark's Hill, I had a good end of the season last year, a good summer, which kind of put me in position to make it. And I had a decent day on Clark's Hill. Tough lake. It was really low, but I lost 2 fish. Speaking of lost fish and speaking of anger and speaking of sounds, the things that came out of me, but I lost a big, big, big bass. And I wouldn't have, to this day, outside of looking at the Bassmaster or the MLF guys when they were there, or Bassmaster, whoever was there fishing Clark's Hill, I thought I was making up how big the fish was in my mind because it was the fish that got away. They're all huge. But watching some of those guys put 8-pounders in the boat on Clark's Hill, I was like, holy shit, that actually was a 24-inch bass. Like, that was exactly what I thought it was. On an A-rig, I lost it. The only fish I think I've ever lost on an A-rig freaking ever that I've hooked. And that fish would have put me in, that caching range, probably won me big fish of the tournament. So what turned out to be a very disappointing tournament, after listening to all the guys at the weigh-in, the importance, Adam, of going to weigh-ins, Adam, of listening to all the stuff, was I did the right things. Everything I was doing, they were doing. These legends, these, goats, these gods you hold up, these guys, your Joeys, your Goodwins, your Adams, these guys.
Your Abide Fishings.
Your Abide Fishings. These guys that you fish, you're like, I am never going to be that. And then you listen to them saying what they did, and then you're like, holy shit, I was doing that. Like, that was a good decision. I can do this shit. And then I took that confidence into this season, and it led to a lot of good decisions on the water, good ramp choices, sort of like I talked about. I identified things that I enjoy. So no matter what happened on the water, I knew that I was going to have fun. I'm not going to be disappointed to losing to Bennett and all catching fish on a Ned rig 40 foot deep. When I'm like, first off, I can't do it. I suck at it. Second off, it's not fun to me. I wouldn't enjoy that even remotely, even winning the tournament. I did what I liked. I had lost, so be it, whatever. But I had fun on the water, kind of thing, and that really helped the success for this season for sure.
Let me interrupt you real quick. If I don't like doing something, but I'm gonna catch fish doing it, I will fucking go do it. And I won't give a shit. And there's there's one story to it. I'd never fished a shaky head 2 years ago, or last year's January, coming up on 2 years ago. I was right beside a guy who beat me in a tournament fishing a shaky head. I'd never thrown one, didn't have the first shaky head in the boat. He won that tournament on Sharon Harris in February. It was the hurricane weekend, and wasn't a real hurricane, but it might as well be. It was gnarly Saturday. This was Sunday. But anyway, that day I went home and I bought a rod and reel combo and a shitload of shaky head shit. And now I don't leave the house without it.
It never comes off.
I don't leave the house without that or a drop shot. And I hate that kind of fishing. I don't want to do that. But those two, when shit ain't going right, those are one of the two things I'm picking up to go try to find something. I hate it. I don't want to do it. But if I see somebody catching fish on something, I'm like, that's stupid. Fucking Ned rig. I'm going to go get a Ned rig and start fishing it in 40 foot of water, practicing for the next time I go to damn Norman. I can guarantee you that 100%. I'm not going to go to Norman without a damn Ned rig on. So the hell with that. If y'all catching fish on something and I know what it is, I'm going to go try to start fishing that shit. And of course to do that though, there's always to put any kind of fishing technique into perspective, there's got to be the right time and place, to make that happen. And that's the hard part about fishing, is to know when to throw the crankbait, when to throw the drop shot, when to throw the Ned rig, when to throw a rig in 45 foot of water and let it sink down to the bottom like John House was doing this weekend. Like, that's knowing when to fish those things is the hardest part, but the hell with that, Landon. I will go find something and I will go fish it if somebody's catching fish on it.
Well, in the end, if it's catching fish consistently, it's going to become very quickly something that I enjoy doing. These aren't set in stone by any means. They're fluid for sure.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, prime example, the Atkin tournament they're talking about. It was brutal. Where I was, the ramp I launched at. So I caught 78.5 inches in the spring. So I was like, I'm going to go back to the same ramp. I'm assuming these fish are still somewhere around these 20 inches I was catching left and right. So everybody that launched there, though, had no problem catching fish. I think in the 5 events I'd fished on the Yadkin chain leading up to that, I could probably on one hand fish below 10 inches. I caught probably 25 fish under 10 inches on that day. And I was like, it was the most tailor-made spinnerbait day in the history of spinnerbait days. And I couldn't get jack shit on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm good at wacky rigging docks. I'm actually severely good at wacky rigging docks. I caught 4 keepers up cold 3 times in the last 17 minutes of that tournament, wacky rigging docks. I'm like, this is stupid. But yeah, I mean, prime example of I should have been fishing what I knew I could catch fish on sort of maybe the entire day. But, that's not necessarily for everyone. Some people, maybe enjoy it. I don't have a lot of time to fish, so the time I do get to fish, I chose to this season, not necessarily perfect as in could they be better? Yeah, sure. But get really freaking good at like 4 things and fish that everywhere and choose ramps, choose locations, choose areas that I know I can make that happen. And it led to, like I said, good decisions, good days, good year, amazing year. And hopefully I can get one more successful weekend here next weekend and really wrap it all up with a bow.
Was there a point this year that you knew you had AOY wrapped up, or were you fishing every tournament like you were going to lose that like you weren't going to win AOI?
After the 7 events, mathematically, it was going to take Yi Hang and after I won Norman, after I won on Norman, it was going to take Yi Hang and Jeremy Heath doing something incredible, which Jeremy almost freaking did, winning those 2 events in a row to catch me. So I knew there was a really good chance. But really, after Santee Cooper, when I took sort of the AOY lead, I had asked my wife if I could have a little extra time and miss a couple more weekend activities to pursue this thing while I had the chance. So that really was the big difference maker. I was able to, get out a little bit more on the weekends before and stuff like that to just sort of hone in on stuff. But, luckily enough, I fished a couple of these lakes before. I've had success on almost all these lakes at this point. So I have some good memories, some good vibes, which also, just having, again, that confidence, that good vibe, that knowing, okay, I know I can do this, it really helped for sure.
I told him 3 weeks ago I was coming for him. And I was close. I was pretty close.
Yeah.
I was very shocked I got as close as I did, to be honest with you, because I started the season terribly. But I had no idea that I finished in the top 3 until halfway through that soccer game. Somebody told me because I was trying to run to the stadium. But I knew, man, I told him a few weeks ago, I was like, dude, what you're doing that's the most impressive. It's impressive. Like, to somebody, I fished so many tournaments. And to me, the person that is the most consistent is the best fisherman in that moment, regardless. Anybody can win a tournament any given day. But the dude that can do it all season, that's your Chris Goodwins, that dude come on the scene and just blistered all of us for, luckily I only fished 1 season with him. So he only hurt my feelings last year, but Landon keeps it up. He's that's impressive, man. Just getting that confidence, like you said, man, going out and getting confident on them bodies of water and what you're doing, dude. Your learning curve, you skipped all the hard parts, and you're telling everybody all the secrets.
That's something to say too for the people that are listening that are just getting into it or hadn't done a good job. Hold on, damn, sinuses, allergies, something. Anyway. Landon's like, I got 3 or 4 things I know I can do really good and enjoy fishing. And that's what he focused on. And in fishing, a lot of us will get tied up into the new lures and to new techniques. And really the time not to do that typically is when you're fishing a tournament. It's in the off season, it's practicing and stuff like that. But having fished with and around Dave for the last 2 years, Dave is like that because I said earlier, I bet you caught on a crankbait because Dave, anywhere he goes, he's gonna catch fish on a DT8 or a DT10 almost everywhere he goes. Half of his fish that he weighs in are gonna be on that crankbait, and it's on days where you wouldn't think it's a crankbait day. So I know, and Adam, we talked, once before at Jordan.
Yeah,
I hadn't fished with you as much, but I know Dave is a lot like that too, where he has a little core group of techniques that he uses to catch a lot of his fish, and he's really damn good at it.
Dave seems like he's got a good taste in what he likes to throw, and obviously did pretty good this year. So he's got a good taste in where he likes to go as well. So,
yeah, a lot of it's true. It goes back though, like, you got to build on it every event. Even every time you're out in the water, whether it's in a tournament or not, you got to build on experience. You got to build on. Everybody knows I like throw DTs a lot. Well, guess what? I had a Lunkers event this year. Trying to throw a DT6, wouldn't get bit. We throw a Rocco on just for the hell of it because it was like a big flat in a river. It was only 7 foot deep. Something just told me try something different. Put a Rocco on, they wouldn't. Back of the throat every single cast. It was unbelievable. And there's been times
what made you switch to that though? What told you to
I just
let me try this different?
So the day before I'd found the fish, it was a tidal river. So the day before I found fish that were feeding on this area, and then I found some resident fish around some brim beds. So the brim beds were shaky head drop shot, but I knew they were feeding off on this flat, and I caught them the day before. Well, in practice, I didn't want to sore lip them, so It was actually 2 days before the event. So I think I set the hook on 2 of them, maybe. So, tournament day, it's one of those things like, okay, the conditions are the same. They should be here. They're here. Why aren't you getting bites? Why aren't you getting bites? Try something a little different. And it actually went back to, in Heiko one time I was throwing. It's one of those things, like I said, people wouldn't believe me if I didn't have somebody to vouch for me. Got on a school of fish. They just annihilated a DT, whatever it was. Caught, 30 fish out of a school. Went to another school a couple hundred yards away. Couldn't get them to bite. Put on a Berkeley bad shad. Same depth, just a little bit different, wobble. They destroyed it. So I actually thought back to that moment in time, like that was like 5 years ago. Fish are here. I want to crank them. It's how I like to fish. They're not biting this. What's up? I don't think I've ever thrown the Rocco before. Maybe once before because it just came out, So tied it on. Pretty much same color pattern, so it wasn't a color deal, and just that little bit different wobble triggered them. So.
In the wise words of Buck Perry, you can't catch fish where fish ain't. So if you know the fish are there and you ain't catching them, it might be time to try something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that experience that he was talking about, the cataloging of every fish catch tells you something, maybe even not that day, but tells you something you can take with you as you go. The prime example, the Wiley or the Clash. I was on Wiley for the Carolina Clash, and Jeremy had won 2 in a row, and I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna blow this. Like Jeremy's gonna come for me. Like I knew it was too good to be true. There's no way I'm gonna beat these guys. Like obviously he's better than I am." And I'm sitting there. I got to my first spot, and I was on my first spot about 6-7 minutes. It's like 2 minutes to lines in, and I was just like, I really think this next little cove over is going to be good. And so I get in there. I get there right at first cast. Third cast, 19 and a half. Fifth cast, 20-inch spot. And that's what finished me in fifth. And that's basically what clinched it. And not that it was random. I was thinking about that spot the entire time. And I was just like, you know what? Something tells me, my gut says go over here. And in that it's easy to chalk that up, to discount your growth, and it's easy to discount your knowledge. Makes it seem weird, but to discount your feeling and go against it during a day. But once you get a good catch catalog, you have the tendency to know these kind of things, and trusting that is a big part in fishing for sure as well. Trusting that, hey, I think I need to throw a different wobble. Hey, I'm gonna put this Rocco on. I don't know why, and I've never fished a Rocco, but I feel like it's gonna catch fish, kind of thing. It's like somebody goes, "Why'd you tie it on?" I'm like, I don't know, but you do know because you knew to do it. Kind of right. Thing. It's like it's hard to explain, but you know that it was the right decision because before you made the decision, kind of thing.
It comes with experiences building that little toolbox, or we'll call it our tackle box, of when shit's going like this seems right. Being able to go with that.
You would think having more experience would help with that, but dude, Landon, enjoy it now, because once your brain gets as full as mine, dude, it's like spaghetti sauce in my head. I started drop shotting a half-ounce jig in 60 foot of water the other day just to try to catch something. But that's the mindset for sure. Is that's having the confidence. I think that's what separates good anglers and great anglers, and it was cool seeing Landon whoop up on everybody this year.
If y'all ever see my fat ass fishing in 60 foot of water, come over there and make sure I'm all right. I might be having a heat stroke or a heart attack or
digging out
something.
Snacks.
Yeah,
digging snacks out of the.
No, I don't eat when I fish, so I don't eat breakfast.
We got many lakes around here that deep. So
yeah, I don't eat breakfast before I go fishing. I don't eat when I'm fishing.
I don't know how you do that, dude. I have a rule that I won't eat anything or drink anything until I catch a fish. You drink, catch a fish, eat anything, a limit. So sometimes I don't eat, but
no, I don't. I drink water and self-deprecate myself.
Dude, I would pass out.
Not defecate, deprecate. I haven't pooped my britches fishing yet. All right, we're gonna start wrapping this up, but this is the end of the season for Dave and I'm pretty sure Dave. I don't think he has any more tournaments coming up. Do you?
No.
Okay.
No more tournaments. Queen City was last. Yeah.
And I know you two guys have the TOC coming up for Queen City, but we'll call this the end of the year little shindig. Adam, what's the stupidest thing you've done on the water this past season?
Whew. Probably Saturday. I waited too long to go to an area that I was going to win that tournament in. And when I got there, the young lad who won the tournament was sitting there. So yeah, he had said in that way, and he's like, "Oh, Adam, let me have that spot." And I was like, I didn't know there was an option. If there was an option to let you or not. No, but seriously, I try to stay respectful on the water, man. I was super happy for him. Yeah, no, nothing crazy. I mean, that was probably one of my saddest moments in fishing. Not just this year, ever. I've never done that before in all the tournaments in all the years, is pull up to a spot and watch somebody win a tournament on it. That was, I don't even know what feeling that gave me, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure it out, because I mean, it was impressive. It was really, really impressive. I'm not saying I could have pulled up and caught the fish he caught. I will never say that. I've seen it happen too many times where it goes the other way. All respect to him, but I sure would have loved to give it a shot for sure. But
next time you've got an option, so you need to play that option.
No.
Hey, I know since this is an option of staying here or not, I'm going to stay here with you.
Yeah. Last time was a free ticket, but no, he was. It was. I'd never do that to somebody. It's just not worth it, to be honest with you. But no, that was probably the biggest kick in my butt this year. I mean, Norman in the spring, I had one fish, which is absolutely bananas. And I did it kind of to what Landon's point is while I like to live scope and I don't mind fishing deep, sometimes you got to turn that off and go back. And I spent all day trying to make something happen out there. And it didn't. Just those decisions, I think that's probably the stupidest thing. I haven't had anything real crazy happen to me this year, fortunately.
So no falling out the boat, hooking yourself, losing something, nothing like that.
Was it? I don't know if it was this year or last. I think it was last year, actually. Can I go to last year? This one's really good.
Yeah, as long as it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I hope it's not another I should have fished here and didn't story.
No. Okay. That was
go ahead.
It was I went to a ramp it was actually at Chickamauga. So yeah, it was last year. There was an area I wanted to fish and there was no ramps near it. So and with the Hobies, you can put it in any public access area. So I found a little sliding spot, and I didn't account for the fact that I had a pro angler. And I thought I was stronger and more fit than I was. So that morning I get out, there's a guardrail there, and I'm like, oh, we're good. It's downhill. And I just totally forget that I have to come back up said hill. And I honestly, I get halfway up and it's all pine needles, so my boat keeps slipping down. I laid there with no shirt on and pine needles with ants crawling over me for 45 minutes, and I literally said out loud, "This is where I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here. This is how I die." And on the banks of Chickamauga,
covered in fire ants and pine straw.
Dude, it was terrible, but it was that bad. It really was. It was bad. I think I called my buddy Saturday and was like, "Dude, I know you're in North Carolina, but you're probably going to have to come and save my life because I'm about to die." This is, but I actually went back the next, I formulated a little better plan for getting it up the hill after my near-death experience. And
you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy some pulleys and some extra rope.
If that was not in the middle of any, trust me, I looked for the nearest Harbor Freight to find. I looked at winches, looked at all kinds of stuff because I'm like, I really want to fish here. And yeah, it was. I remember that my back itches just talking about it, laying in those pine needles and just saying, "This is where I die," with my boat halfway hanging down this hill and me just laying here. So, but no, yeah, that was. This year's been pretty G-rated. So,
Dave, how about you? What's the stupidest thing you've done on the water this year, or had happened to you?
Man, it was kind of. Nothing crazy happened. I mean, I fished 8 local tournaments. Just boneheaded move, I guess. We had CCKF here, McIntosh, for those who don't know, is like 4 minutes from my doorstep. Amazing fishery. I wasn't really all in early in the year. This was an April tournament because I knew I wasn't going to be able to qualify or fish enough of the events for any one trail. So it was kind of like, I'll just show up and fish when I can. And I did actually go out the week before and just wanted to throw a glide bait around, big glide bait. I think I had one that bit on like the second cast, and then I probably had like, I don't know, 15 followers that were all 18 plus. And I said, okay, I'm just going to throw a glide bait all day, Macintosh, in the tournament. And that's what I did. And I never saw a fish chase my glide bait the entire day, but I never changed. So I skunked on one of my home lakes and ate crow. But I don't have any like heaven is Chickamauga stories, unfortunately.
Dude, that's a tough lake to skunk on too, because like you said, I mean, you might don't look. I've only caught like 5 fish in Macintosh, and 3 of them have been 20 inches plus. I mean, that's
well, it was 100% stubborn on my fault. Well, and I was to the point, like, back to I've got 4 big fish. I caught a 22.5 at Mac this fall that did not win big fish. That tells you how the fish are in there. But it was 100% stubbornness on my part because I ended up, it was mid-April, so they were still on bed. They were actually early. It was I'm sure just down there, like everything was kind of late this year. So I think they had just kind of locked on beds, but they weren't, weather change or whatever. They weren't that aggressive that day. But anyways, I found one that I knew was pretty close to the ramp, but there was 3 beds. They were kind of deep. I didn't think people would see them. I don't think anybody saw them. And the reason I knew they were there is the fish rose up on the glide bait the week before, and they were still there. One was 23, 24 easy. And I probably spent an hour and a half on that one fish. And she came up 3 times, and I did throw a Texas rig and a couple stuff at her, but she just, stubbornness. That was the only stupid thing I did this year.
So just boneheaded moves, nothing wacky, weird, crazy, nothing exciting.
No, nothing. No, I mean, looking back over history, I think the only thing, I mean, I could point, Landon mentioned Mark Glendy, I think, when we went to Texas for that tournament, how we made it out alive and didn't get run over in our trucks by 400, 500-pound hogs is a miracle to this day. That was a good story.
Speaking of Mark, I hope we get to see him fishing more this year and less golf playing.
I'm trying to break him out, man. I'm actually going to be fishing with him this weekend. We're going to go do some saltwater fishing. So
nice.
Dude, you know what's wild? What's wild about Mark is when I had my tackle shop, we used to do the Raleigh Fishing Show. If you guys go to that, I'm sure you went to my booth 2013 through like 2016. And Mark we used to have like custom painted crankbaits and kind of like one-of stuff. And I met Mark then like 10 years ago. And then out of nowhere, he just like pops up in the club one day. And I was like, wait a minute, dude, when did you start kayak fishing? So we actually, me, him, and Landon and Tyler Smith stayed together at the TOC last year. We had a really good time. And Mark's a good dude for sure. Very good dude. Very good ambassador for all of fishing, not just kayak fishing.
Oh, yeah.
So
he will help the hell out of you for sure.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Super nice guy.
Do a lot of things for you. Like I said, I hope 2024 we get to see him out on the water more and less golf course pictures.
Like I said, we got to steal his clubs, so somebody's got to do it.
He's way less handsome golfing than he is fishing.
Hey, I know where he'll be Thursday to Sunday, so I'll give you the address. You go get his clubs. We'll handle it. Y'all can see Mark next year again.
Okay, yeah. Hey, is he a righty or a lefty?
He's righty.
Okay. He's a righty, yeah.
I swing lefty, so I'm gonna go take his club. I'm gonna go steal him, and then I'm gonna take him to the golf the range, and I'm just gonna swing as hard as I can and break all the heads off trying to swing right-handed when I swing left-handed. See what happens. Landon, how about you, man? You had a great year. You had to have some stupid ass shit happen that like you can't have a year this good and not have some kind of dumbfuckery story of you doing something stupid or something stupid happening to you.
I mean, the stupid thing that in general, and Vinny will vouch / Adam will vouch, is the fact that I still stick now a Hobie PA-12 out of the back of my SUV. Looks like it's falling out as I'm going down the highway.
It's a good thing you're a personal trainer, dude. That thing's hard to get in and out of there.
Sure. No, actually it was the entire Hartwell event. So I had come back. I landed in Charlotte at 11:42 on the Friday night before Hartwell. I took about a 2.5 hour nap.
Yes, got that
drove
mosquito.
the 3 hours. You're good to Hartwell. Proceeded to forget my net the entire time and both of my charging batteries for my fish finder. So luckily, though, again, I fish shallow mostly. I was like, I don't really necessarily need the graph. I'll be fine. And then if you've ever fished Hartwell, I mean, the docks are cable city. There's cables under the water. There's cables out of the water. There's cables around the water. There's cables through the water. It's unfreaking believable, the cables. And I had a really big fish. I caught 2 really big ones, actually. My biggest ever in tournament, oddly enough, largemouth, was Hartwell last year, 23 1/4.
Nice.
And I at Santee practice for this year, I actually caught a 25. Biggest bass I've ever caught my entire life. It was a monster. Had it not, it was 8-4, but had it not been spawned out, it was easy 10, maybe even more. But it was pretty spawned out. She was pretty skinny, yeah. But anyway, so I've got this pretty big largemouth on a popper, and it's on the other side of the cable. I was the idiot that was like, I'm gonna cast over there. If I get something, I'll put it over the cable. Little did I know it was going to be a big largemouth. Like, shit. So I pedaled over it toward the cable. As I approach the cable, it gets locked into my drive, and my pedal drive is now locked into the cable as I'm trying to battle this fish over the cable on the other side. And I proceed to break both of my rods that are in my back rod holders on the dock. That is now, I'm being pulled side to side, but I'm stuck. I can't go back and forth because the fish is on the other side of the cable. The fish then breaks off, which I then sit back on, which then breaks my drive handle that was stuck on the cable. And I was like, why did I even come? Why did I come here? Like, I've been 2 hours of sleep. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't have a net. I'm like, how was I going to get this fish in anyway? Why did I make that cast over the cable? Oddly enough, though, the rest of the day, I probably caught, honestly, 30 fish on Hartwell that day. They were just all 15 inches long. It was like a spectacular day of fishing, but that was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I should have loaded up and left. I don't know why I kept going.
You only have 2 rods left, no drive.
Well, luckily I have a spare of everything, because even though I don't ever anticipate, and nothing so far, luckily, like this has ever happened, but I have 2 of literally everything: 2 catch boards, 2, pedals for my drives and stuff like that, 2 propellers. So I paddled my way. Plus, I only have a stand-up paddleboard handle for my kayak, because my wife had taken the stand-up paddleboard handle with her because we were in California, or the kayak paddle. So I'm stand-up paddleboarding my kayak back to the ramp to get all my stuff to replace the pedal. Still had a great day. It was my worst finish of the year as far as, placing goes. But I had a spectacular day fishing on Hartwell. I'm actually super freaking pumped for the No Limit event there this year, because if I have a day like I did on that same day, I mean, there's no reason I can't win. I would have put up 300 inches in a No Limit event. I was catching them. I caught 6 straight on one dot at one point. They were just all 14.5 inch long.
That's funny. Well, it's not funny you broke all that shit, but that is a funny story of why am I here.
Whatever.
Sit down.
Luckily,
and
I made
like,
enough money this year on fishing to replace those rods. So, it worked out.
There we go. Well, look, guys, I appreciate it. This was great. We skipped ahead a couple tournaments. We're going to get the other guys in, or 8, 9. I got them lined up. We just got to get them next week, probably. A couple of them are down fishing the Hobie this week, so they couldn't do it. But thank y'all again for coming on. This is great. Dave, it's always great to have you on. Adam, good to see you again. Congratulations on your win. And Landon, congratulations on your AOY. That is a huge accomplishment in any fishing club there is out there. It's an extra huge accomplishment when you're fishing in Queen City that averages probably, I don't know exactly, but probably somewhere around 120 anglers. A tournament again this year. That's a lot of people to contend with, and that's being consistent. So congratulations to y'all. Any parting words before we leave tonight? Does anybody have? We've dropped a lot of like mental knowledge and a little bit of bait knowledge here, but does anybody have any parting words before we end tonight?
I would like Landon to leave his net at home for the TOC in 2 weeks as well. If you could do that, that would be great.
Hey, Adam,
hey, like I said, I've got 2 now, so there's 1 in my car at all times. I got 2 everything now. I come prepared.
Bummer.
Hey, Adam, as a Hobie owner myself, there's not a day that I leave that I don't check my 2 back plugs a million times. I bet Landon doesn't. Just unscrew those 2 back plugs, not where they're hanging out, but just unscrew them enough that his boat starts to get a little heavy and maybe tipsy.
I check them. I check them now. Now that you said that, I don't even know those. I didn't know those things. I just got mine like 3 weeks ago. I fished it twice now, so I check them now. Before, after, during the day. Shoot, I'll get out of the water and check them.
That's
well, there are days where like a lot of water's coming over from, especially in the summertime, we get all the pleasure boaters out there, and I'll bring it home and sit it on the back of my truck and let it drain out. And I screw them back in, but I check them a million times because I'm like, damn, I'm going to be hauling across, get in the middle of the lake. My boat's going to be like my fat ass in there with a trolling motor and the batteries and all the shit that I carry. Like it would probably sink like the damn Titanic.
That last season, I think at Norman it was like 40 degrees and raining and miserable. The first QC event, I think it was last year. And I had just got a PA and I didn't have them screwed in and got to my spot. And I noticed every time I'd pedal, my left and rights were really pronounced. And I opened the hatch and I was like, I don't think this is supposed to have a live well in it. I actually had to pull up on a boat ramp and like luckily there was just a random piece of like 2x4 driftwood. I emptied the boat out and I had to like prop it up on that because it was so heavy I couldn't even hold it up. Yeah, those plugs are very important, Landon. Make sure.
Hey, I'm gonna go do it now. Shoot, I'm gonna go.
Landon, make sure they're very important. If Adam is anywhere near your boat leading up to that tournament before you launch.
Well, I mean, hey, at this rate, there's only like 1 ramp going to be open, so I feel like we're going to be all at the same ramp.
Be interesting.
Look, the fish are going to be in the little pond, and everybody in the TOC is going to be fishing. If we don't get no rain in North Carolina, the Western state's struggling too. Where's that TOC?
Wiley.
Oh yeah, it's struggling.
They started closing a bunch of ramps last couple of weeks.
Jordan's down probably somewhere around 6 or 7 feet right now.
It's crazy,
and that makes that lake dangerous to have a motorboat in.
That means we should probably have a really wet winter, which is good.
It's supposed to. It'd be good. Yeah. Well, look, I appreciate y'all coming on. Congratulations on everything. Y'all hang out after we play the outro music and all this stuff. Hang out. Look, guys, this is Queen City Chronicles. The 10th tournament. I had a brain fart there. Couldn't tell for a second. 10th tournament. AOY winner Landon on here. Adam Fillmore, number 1. Dave Hart, number 2. Y'all have a good one. Hey.